Alright, so y'all can see the whole new little setup I got here. And before y'all start, man, I'm still in the calisthenics. Don't worry about it. But when I got this whole new setup and everything, it brought me back to a time where I was just um, deep into the CrossFit, or really just wanted to get into CrossFit. It was hard for me to do it. I'm gonna explain by why it was so hard in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, my first love it was always calisthenics, but my first experience with lifting, it was doing the Olympic lifts, right? The squats, cleans, deadlifts, bench press, all that, and that's what kind of brought me to CrossFit back in the day. When I say back in the day, I really mean back in the day. I'm talking about like 2010, 2011, something like that. So this video, I'm gonna tell y'all my thoughts on CrossFit, when I did it, how I got into it, and what I think about it now, right? So anyway, so how I got into CrossFit, right? So I was always into the calisthenics and the Olympic lifts, and I always I would put two together. Anyway, I would just put it together myself, you know. And then I heard about CrossFit, and I was like, I'm kind of already doing CrossFit anyway. Everyone kind of does CrossFit. It's pretty much cross training, but they add their own little twist to it. Um, so my buddy was doing it. He was, into football. He played on the team back in the day, and he brought me to the local CrossFit garage. Tried it, fell in love with it off the rip. It was tough though because a lot of people in there. Some of the Olympic lifts I never did. Right, never did the snatch. Um, that's one thing I never did a snatch. They had me doing like sled pushes. Never really did that. I just did like the basics, pull ups, push ups, dips, cleans, bench, everything I said in the past. So I did it the first time, fell in love with it. They taught me how to rope climb and everything like that. And like I said, back in the day, I was a personal trainer. I got like a degree in personal training. And I was like, man, I really like this CrossFit thing. So I went and got a level one CrossFit certification, $1,000 certification, 3 day or 2 to 3 day like class you had to take, pretty much teaching you the basics, and they would go over some exercise with you. It was all cool, man. It was a good time, you know. Yeah, so did that, got the cert, thought that I was gonna be this big CrossFit trainer, and it just never happened, right? Because people aren't just gonna hire you because you got that whole thing, the whole certification. It's all about politicking, man, no matter what it is, whether it be the calisthenic community, the CrossFit community, it's all about the politics, who you know and what you know. So again, I was like a 19-year-old kid at the time. So going to a CrossFit gym, it was over $100 a month. And to me back in the day, I was a bit pricey. And you when you went, you had to do what they was doing. You couldn't just go and just work out even by yourself. If you wanted to do the open gym, which they had like once a week, it was like what? It was like $40 to go in and use the open gym. I was like, damn, I'm already paying like $1.50, and I pay $40 a week for one day. It was just like, I was like, man, I didn't really vibe with the price. And again, I was a young cat. Maybe now, if I was into it now, I wouldn't be so worried about the price because it is like a community. But all in all, I can say CrossFit is definitely a good workout. Um, everyone hates on it because uh, they see the clips, right? The guys doing the crazy pull-ups. Definitely don't agree with those kind of pull-ups, man. When I went to the my first workout, they had pull-ups. I was like, nah, I'm doing mine strict, the right way. I'm not even there wiggling like that. When it's hard to do too, I just feel like it's just not necessary, man. You know. So yeah, that's how I got into it. Got the cert, $1,000 certification. Never used it. Just what I mean. Wish I could have. Um, and then we're gonna go to what I think about CrossFit now. Now, despite all the guy saying what he said, the owner, what I mean, hey, that's him, man. But now, I mean, I still see it. Like randomly, I'll see some people doing these crazy muscle ups, crazy pull ups, but nice form when it comes to all the Olympic lifts. So like I say now, what I feel about it is, I don't like the calisthenic aspect to it. I understand that they're like competing, but I feel like they should just make the calisthenic part more strict, right? Just like they really do in the real calisthenic competitions. Chin over the bar. We're not, doing the crazy worm on, on the pull-ups. Go a little strict on the muscle ups. Um, yeah, that's what I think about as far as calisthenics goes. Now, as far as their whole competition, you know, see what I don't get is they're so strict on the Olympic lifts. You got to get it a certain way, and they got big guys doing that, the Olympic lifts. But when it comes to calisthenics, they can do whatever. Don't get me wrong, the handstand is pretty impressive, but yeah, I just feel like they should just clean up the calisthenics to it. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, yeah, man. I got my whole setup right here. Still gonna be on the calisthenics. Most likely only be hitting bench, squat, deadlift, cleans, and maybe some bridges on here. Y'all ain't gonna see me hitting no snatches, none of that. I'm too old. You know what I mean? But it's your man, Lift Not the Stiff, and I'm out, G.